Hi, this is Anna Imagination with the Healing Garden, and welcome to Shifting Perspectives with Triadic Healing. This video is going out to those of you who really are fresh out of trauma, and you're probably in the throes of PTSD. It has been 8 years, 9 years for me since I was where you are. And I remember the cold. I remember the sometimes hopelessness. I remember the chaos. And there's no other word to describe it. It's pure chaos. I remember the disorientation and the confusion. And you walk into something like therapy or trauma healing, and it seems like such a small little thing in comparison to what you're dealing with. And you think things like, how the fuck can this possibly help me? Because the chaos inside of you is that vast that when you have one person just talking to you about making eye contact, grounding yourself, it seems so stupidly minuscule in comparison to what you're dealing with inside your head. And I was talking to somebody the other day that very much reminded me of that chaos. It really brought back a lot of feelings and memories. And I thought a lot about what I could say to her to help her along. And then I thought about what I needed to hear. And no one is saying what you need to hear. So this video is my attempt at telling you what you need to hear. And I'm not coming to you with all of my psych knowledge. I'm not coming to you with all the theory in this video, because theory is not what you need right now. That is not what this is for. What you need is a hope thread. Hope threads are what I called those little nuggets, like golden threads that pierced my darkness, that grounded me to something, anything, because I felt so lost. I had no coordinates. It felt like I was in this black sea on a ship I couldn't sail, with ripped sheets and no coordinates. I had no idea where I was. And in those early days, all I wanted was a direction. That's really all I wanted, was direction, something solid that I could hold on to and grasp and say, that's where I need to go. That way I could at least find my way out. And when I realized that that is what I needed, I created it. I imagined this lighthouse in my storm. For the longest time when I built the garden, I wanted there to be a lighthouse in the beacon. I wanted there to be something, a solid light just piercing the darkness, because that is exactly what it was like back then. And the only thing that kept me alive through all of it was this image of there being a light that would just pierce my darkness, and I just followed the light. That just became my thing. As early as 4 years old, I just kept following the light. And it literally took me 30 years to follow my light. And I remember this one particular day through my healing where I could see the lighthouse finally. And I could see the source of the light, or I thought I could. And then I remember arriving at the lighthouse. And it was like I found my coordinates. And when you are that lost and there is no light, hope threads are the little threads of light from that lighthouse that find you, that ground you, that say, this is a life preserver. Take this, hold on, follow the light, use it like a breadcrumb trail, get to the lighthouse. And it was such a very powerful image that it got me through. And it got me through the worst of it, the darkest of it, to just keep following that beacon of light through the darkness. I learned how to make my own hope threads, and I learned how to grow them and nurture them. I needed them sometimes to be strong, and I needed them to be thicker, and I needed them to just be wrapped around my waist, because there were times I felt like I was sinking and I would lose everything. And those hope threads kept me alive. So if you are starting out with therapy, or you are just at that point where you feel that total chaos, total darkness, lost, alone in a broken ship at sea, I get it. I absolutely get that. Understanding is your coordinates. Understanding is who you are. What you suffer from is a kind of amnesia. But the thing you have forgotten is your own identity. And that's really what you're dealing with. A complete and total loss of your identity and your relativity, your understanding of where you are in relation to what's around you. So you've lost your coordinates, which is why you're in the darkness, which is why you feel lost at sea. Therapy is the process of finding your coordinates, of redefining who you are, of remembering who you are, and learning your relativity between you and everything else. And the more you define yourself, the more you understand what happened and how that relates to you, the more solid you will become. The more close to that lighthouse you will get. And the more you define, the more you understand, the more you remember, the closer and the more solid you get. Every time, without fail. So as you go through your healing, that's what you're doing. That's what you're looking for. You will repair your ship. You will learn to sail it. You will get your heading. You will find your direction. And you will keep making your way on those hope threads, following the light to the beacon. And when you get to the beacon, it is extraordinary. So in the thick of it, when you are lost in the middle of your PTSD episode, this is what I'm going to tell you. This is what they never tell you in traditional therapy, that they really need to tell you. Every PTSD episode goes on a cycle. It's always the same cycle. It's the same way for everybody. It's textbook. You're plunged into the chaos. There's panic. You can't breathe. That's normal. That is absolutely the process. It's disorienting, and you have no idea who you are or anything. You just feel this massive horror and darkness pushing you down. Endure it. It is temporary. It is very temporary. That is the healing process. And then after you plunge into this numbness, you feel numb. You feel like your whole soul has been iced over. And it's draining and it's exhausting. And you feel indifferent to everything. You just don't care. And you're tired. Endure it. It's temporary. It will pass. And then you feel depressed. You feel worthless, and you feel like a burden. You might not be able to get out of bed. Take a shower. Take a hot shower. Endure it. It's temporary. And then eat something. Don't sleep. Eat something. Try doing something you love. Try. Curl yourself up with your favorite blanket. Endure it. It's temporary. And then you'll feel a little better. It might take a couple days. And then what happens is a span of time goes by. And then you get your next episode. And that cycle repeats itself. Endure it. Because this is what's going to happen. You have to grieve a certain number of hours. You have to go through the trauma process a certain number of hours. And when you go through enough, that span between the trauma episodes gets wider and wider. And the episodes get shorter and shorter. Endure them. It's the process. It is the purging of the trauma as you understand. It's grief. It's something that only trauma survivors experience. It's what I call trauma grief, because there's no other word for it. It is trauma grief. That is what you are going through. That is what you are enduring through. It's just trauma grief. And it is absolutely like nothing in this fucking world. Endure it. It's temporary. As you go through the trauma grief, the periods between the episodes gets longer until they stop altogether. And they do stop. The time frame that you are lost in one of these episodes gets shorter and shorter. It might start off with them lasting for a day, maybe half a day. Eventually it will be down to a couple hours, and then it will be down to just 30 minutes, and then they will stop altogether. That's trauma grief. And then you have no more of those episodes. Then you are just dealing with the turmoil of being lost at sea. That's when you start to learn how to manage your system. And as you start to learn how to manage your system, the storm quiets down slowly over time. You learn how to better manage things. As life hits you and you feel yourself shifting this way, you find yourself being able to pull yourself back. It takes time. It's a process. And you are not alone. You have guidance. You absolutely have that beacon that you're getting to. Keep your heading. Keep your heading. Always look at the light. Get yourself a picture of a lighthouse. Put it on your wall somewhere. Put a picture of it on your phone. And in the darkest of times, look at the lighthouse. Endure it. You are on your way home. You are on your way home. And you will get through it. But you gotta endure it. You absolutely have to endure it because it's temporary. It doesn't last forever. There is very much an end to this. Trust the process. You are just going through trauma grief. And no one except trauma survivors understand that shit. Trauma grief, you just got to endure it. But when I was in it, remembering Remembering the beacon helped. Knowing that nothing lasts forever, not even trauma, grief, that helped. Hope. So this is me telling you what I really needed to hear back then. That I made it. That I have been through all of it. And that there is a way out. You are on your way out. There is an end to it because I made it. There is a cure. There is an end to the hell you are in. It is temporary. What you are going through is just trauma, grief. And no one out there talks about it except me, because I made it. And when I made it, the very first thing I did was run right back into it, because I saw way too many people still caught in it. So I'm just coming back to say, there's a way out. I know the way out. I've been there. I've done it. And all I do for a living is run right back into the darkness and get people and say, I know how to get you out of here. Here's a hope thread. Follow me. There's the beacon. I know what that is. I know how to get you there. And trust me, this is temporary. You're just going through trauma, grief. You're purging all of the trauma. You're going to get it. You're going to get out. It does not last forever. So here's my hope thread. Tie it around your waist. Just endure it. Self-care. Remember what you love. Remember what you love. No matter how small, remember what you love. Never forget what you love. And there's going to be times you forget all love, and that's okay. That's part of it. You just got to wait it out. But I promise you, there is an end to this shit. Thank you. My name is Anna Imagination. Come to the Healing Garden, www.annashealinggarden.org. May the kindest of words always find you.